Hi everybody, Conrad here from Germany. I wanted to talk about an experience I had 2 weeks ago in the city. I had to buy some stuff, and when I came out of the shopping center, I saw a young woman. She looked very, very sad, and I saw her going like this, and she looked to the ground where all the squares were, and she didn't touch the side of the square. She always stepped in the middle. And I know that I've experienced a few people that had some stuff borderline. And then I saw the arms of that lady, and she had bruises and cuts all over her forearms. And suddenly, I heard the voice of Jesus, and he said, I want you to go to that woman, and I want you to ask her if she needs prayer. And it was so clear that I was surprised at first, and it really surprised me, because I was thinking, I just can't go to a strange woman and tell her, well, God just asked me to pray for you. How was I be able to approach her without her thinking that I'm some kind of weirdo, or maybe Jehovah's Witness, or some kind of creep? And before I could make a decision, she jumped on her bike and she was gone. And I thought to myself, wow, what an idiot you are. You just heard Jesus' voice and you didn't listen. And that made me very, very sad. And while I was going home, I prayed. And I said, God, please send that woman one more time. And I promise this time I won't hesitate. I will pray for her. So, about 1 week later, I was in the city again, and I bought some stuff, just random stuff, and I got a protein bar, and I sat on the bench right in the middle of the city, people just walking around. I was drinking it was an energy drink, I guess, yes, an energy drink, and I had my Jesus t-shirt. I had a brother from our Telegram group, and he sent me a Jesus t-shirt, and I heard the voice of God telling me in the morning, today, when you go to the city, I want you to put that Jesus t-shirt on. And I did. So I was sitting on that bench with my Jesus t-shirt and eating that energy bar, and I was looking around, and I thought, maybe somebody would ask me what's with that Jesus t-shirt, but nothing happened. Nobody. Was one random girl that smiled at me, looked at my t-shirt, smiled and walked away. Okay, that was kind of cool. So I finished eating my protein bar. Wait, my coffee's getting cold. We don't want that coffee to get cold, don't we? So I was standing up. I was looking behind me, and there was another bench. And believe it or not, on that bench was that woman with the bruises and scars all over her arms. And I immediately heard the voice of Jesus, and he said, "So, now prove it. Now do what I told you to do." And this time I did not hesitate. I sat next to her, and right away she smiled at me. Before that, she had the saddest eyes I've ever seen in my life. But as I sat next to her, she looked into my eyes and she smiled. She has never met me before. Okay, that week before, but she did not see me. But she smiled, and I smiled too, and I looked at her and said, "I'm a born-again Christian, and I wanted to ask you if I could pray for you." And believe it or not, she said yes. She smiled and said yes. And I said, "I need to know your first name because it makes it more personal when I pray." And she said her name is Angelina. And I said, "Angelina?" And I smiled even more and I said, "It's perfect, Angelina. It's Italian and it means angel." And I just took her hand and I put my hands on her hand and closed my eyes and started to pray. And the whole time, it was not my words. I totally let go, and the Holy Ghost took over, and I don't remember the whole stuff that I was praying, but it was something about forgiveness and putting the pain, erasing the pain out of her heart, because Jesus showed me that she had a lot of pain and felt or experienced abuse at a very early age. And I saw a lot of pain and suffering, and I prayed that God would take out that suffering and put love into her heart and fill her cup with Jesus. And when I was finished, I said, "Thank you for letting me pray for you. I wish you a wonderful and blessed day." And I stood up and I was gone. And well, maybe you would say, "Oh, that's just an average experience," but it wasn't. It was a spiritual experience that I have never witnessed before, and I'm a born-again Christian for almost 10 years now, and I have experienced some very impressive spiritual things, but I have prayed for a lot of Christians, and I've prayed for families and friends, but I've never prayed for a random stranger that I met on the street and heard the voice of Jesus so loud in my I don't know where it was, in my heart. And he said, go to her and ask. That was so beautiful, and I'm so humbled and glad that God gave me another chance, because I didn't ask her the first time we met. And I was so touched by that moment, to see the sad face of that woman that was so hurt. And I saw it was like Jesus had put a mustard seed in her heart. And I saw it through the eyes of Jesus, like that mustard seed started to grow. And while it was growing, it pressed out the suffering and the pain that she had to endure in her young life. And while I witnessed in a spiritual sense how God was healing her heart from within, I've noticed he was always now let me put it in other words. I was also experiencing him healing me while I was praying for God to fill her cup up with Jesus. He filled my cup up too, and he put out some stuff, some pain, some trauma that was still in me, maybe from childhood. I don't know what it was, but I felt it was like a weight was lifted off of me. It was just beautiful. It was not like an emotion. It was much, much more. And it was this feeling. It was more than a feeling. It was not an emotion. It was not a feeling. I can't describe it in words. But I stayed in that feeling for over 3 days. And I hope and I pray that God will let me experience similar things like that, because I've felt similar things before, not while I was praying for strangers, but while I was praying for me or for the pain of others, but not in that intensity. It was great. It was unbelievable. It was undescribable. And for those people watching this, for those people who say God doesn't exist, Jesus doesn't exist, I hope and I pray I have touched your hearts, and maybe this can put a mustard seed in your heart too, and maybe you too will have a real relationship with Jesus in the near future. My name is Conrad, and I love you. God bless you. See you around. Bye.